Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to be starting chapter 6 in part 3 of our book, Power of the Magdalene. I just finished reading chapter 5, but I was enjoying it so much that I wanted to keep going, so I'm making a back-to-back video. All right, so chapter 6, James in Gaul and Britain, and this is the 13-year-old boy that they have been interviewing in a past life regression hypnosis. All right. The account that James had given of his travels after the time of the crucifixion had been fascinating so far, and we were eager to hear the rest of his story, as was I. Did he go as far north as Britain? Did he encounter any Druids? And did he meet up again with Joseph of Arimathea? James. We stayed in Essene for some time, which is what they called Alexandria in Egypt. But at last we had to move on. I knew most of our friends would have left our land by then. The group I saw at Ein Gedi were close to Jeshua, and they would certainly have gone. That group had much light around them, particularly the women. When we left, we went by ship across the Central Sea. We got safely across, although the passage was rough. In the land to the north, the place called Gaul, we met many others that we recognized, including Mary Salome. We landed in a small part, a pretty place that was so green. Now we're traveling up into the Celtic lands that stretch far to the north. It's cold, and there is a cold wind blowing. James traveled north through Gaul, or the present-day France. This is a note from the author, with a mixed group, most from Israel, but some from Egypt and other countries in the Middle East. James commented that many different people have been thrown together through fear and need and having a path to follow. They traveled north following an important energy line. We would call it a ley line, which they followed as a trail. They rode on small horses, which we later identified as Caspians, a small hardy breed standing about 10 to 12 hands high. James described some of the terrain as hard and rocky, and he saw mountains, something he had never seen in Israel, and experienced snow for the first time. His group developed skills in sensing and feeling the ley lines as they went along. Ley lines, I don't know why I said that with ley lines. For the younger ones, it was like a strange new adventure, but for the older ones, there was much sadness. At one point, James talked about a gathering of people who were traveling through Gaul, with a number of tents pitched on a high and open place. It was cold, and they huddled around a number of fires on the site. It was a chance for them to share their memories, talk about old friends, and support each other. James, we knew we have to keep the memories alive, and that's what we're doing. Joanna, so the teachings that you had from Jeshua, they were mainly energetic, but they were also teaching with words? James, it wasn't for me so much teaching as showing you a way to be, capital B in that word. How to live as a spirit within a body, how to act and react with people around you. A very simple message to live in the heart and not harm others. Oh, and then it says here, there was a pause, a shift in the energy, and a sudden intake of breath. The lady called Mary is coming to our group. Joanna, is this Mary Salome? James, no, it's not. It's Mary Magdalene. A deep intake of breath and a sigh. She's so beautiful. She has dark eyes. She is our link with Kaloo, and that's capital Kaloo. And she brings messages from them. It's she who is informing our scattered people of the jobs we must do. She is telling us that it's through the female line that the emotional aspects of the memories will be held. The men are the doers, and they must find information through external records, and both are needed. The men will be helped by physical records, linked through crystals and places, portals where they'll be able to access the universal records of events, real history. Comment by Stuart. The Kaloo were the scattered remnants of an ancient Atlantean people who founded the Essene communities under the direction of the Order of Melchizedek. We discovered a good deal of information on the Kalu whilst researching the Essenes, Children of the Light. And they also appear in Jesus and the Essenes by Dolores Cannon. I have that book and read it. It is amazing if you want me to read it to you. The Order of Melchizedek is a service order of advanced teachers working on many planetary systems through the galaxy. The session continues. Joanna, is this the first time you've met Mary Magdalene? James, yes. Joanna, and from your body reaction, the meeting obviously made a very big impression on you. Was it her energy field that particularly impressed you? James, yes, it's huge. It's purple and blue. Here, Kathy was so overcome that she could hardly get the last word out. She links with many other beings on the earth and of the earth and off the earth. It's all tied in with light. So you feel as if she's bringing a vortex of the whole universe's memory into your place. Wow. Joanna, is she able to create vortexes if she settles in a place for a while? James, I don't think she needs to. She is the vortex. Wow, that's powerful. Capital I-S, is. Joanna, the other Essenes around you, are they aware that she is the one who carries the greatest energetic nearest to that of Jeshua? James, it's different because when she's there, you are not aware of what the others are experiencing at the time. It's as if you are not in a place on earth at all. The fire in front of us disappears, and she is bringing the whole universe in blues and purples and yellows. And that's all you're aware of. That's all you're aware of. That and this majestic energy. Again, difficult for Kathy to talk at this point. Joanna, I know when I link up with someone with a major aura, you're not aware of what they say. It's the energy, and you go into a state where anything is possible. James, she will be a major force in making people remember what they learned then. Jeshua's job was to open the heart center, the heart chakra. Once that's open, Mary Magdalene's job is to provide the information that's needed at the right time. She does this by showing how everyone is linked and how information can be gained when you ask for it. She doesn't talk to us in words, but everyone receives the information they need. I wish I could have had her as my teacher. Then I wouldn't have needed to ask so many questions. With her, you feel as if you know the answer before you ask the question. Joanna, so in many ways, she's opening up the innate spiritual knowledge that you brought into this life. James, yes. Joanna, and for many, it's just a case of remembering. James, reconnecting, yes. She travels through different dimensions in time and space. You need special training to do this. Such a special being. Mary is due to go on with her journey. She will be with us from time to time. She's working with John. When she's finished, it's night and the stars are out, and we hadn't realized so much time had passed. There's much excitement throughout the group as they discover they are serving a purpose, being of use. Joanna, so night has fallen and you're looking at the stars. James, I find it hard to sleep on this special night. There were so many things that I wanted to ask Mary Magdalene. I wanted to ask her what the deep maroon color in her aura signifies. And I wanted to get around the other groups and see what they were doing. It's as if we were all laying down the pattern of what was to come for the future. Real big special foundations. But I must get some sleep because at dawn we must all split up and go our separate ways. In a later session, we asked Alariel to comment on this meeting with Mary Magdalene, and this is what he said. Alariel, this is a good example of the kind of impact made by Mary Magdalene. Mary was an impressive speaker, but it was the energy she carried, the quality and sheer power and vastness of that energy, which really impressed those who met her for the first time. Here was a master soul, an initiate who had reached the very highest levels of attainment within the Isis system of Egypt, a system that was widely respected throughout the Middle East as the mainstream mystery school tradition at that time. So to be in the presence of a high Isis initiate was something that many people would have seen as a great blessing. And today, sadly, Isis is something very different and skewed. Comment by Stuart. Isis, the high priestess moon goddess, was one of the most important deities in the Egyptian pantheon. As the wife of Osiris and mother of Horus, this is the eye of Horus right there, she had a central position in that system and was regarded as the goddess of magic, alchemy, and supreme wisdom. She was often called upon by those who needed help with past life memories. James and his group continued to travel northwards through Gaul. At one point, he met an impressive man whom he describes as a sage, and this man gave him a golden ankh, an Egyptian cross with a rounded upper section. James told us that this particular ankh had been adapted by carving a figure of Jeshua into it. The ankh was a key symbol in Egyptian religion from the period of the heretic pharaoh Akhenaten, who established a form of monotheism centuries before the time of Moses. The basic meaning of the ankh is life, and monotheism is, I think it's just worshiping, I think it's multiple gods. There's monotheism, and then there's another one, and I get them confused. But one stands for worshiping multiple gods, and one is just worshiping one God. I think monotheism is worshiping more than one. The session continues. James, I put it into my third eye and received images, many images. These images tell us what to do. We have got to get on with our work now. When Jeshua was among us, everyone was focused on him and what he would do and what we could gain from him. But he didn't tell anyone in detail what to do. I know we're supposed to be finding our purpose now. Another interesting aspect about religions and chakras, again, seen as the devil or something evil or sacrilege if you work with in many religions, but it was very much a part of their lives. They knew of their chakras, they used them, and it worked to their great benefit. Their technology was much greater than ours, but it was technology of the soul, of the universe, the heart, and the mind, which in my opinion is far more useful than all of the literal technology we have today. It certainly isn't destroying the earth the way all the other stuff is. Joanna, and what do you see as your purpose? James, sending out golden rhythms of light through the energy lines that we learned about so that the earth can experience the light. That's what Jeshua was doing with the pebbles. He was helping the earth consciousness experience light so that it links itself more closely with what's happening in human beings, so that it's more aware of the life on the earth. It's like filling the earth lines with energy, energizing them. And we're telling her about the new energy Jeshua brought in so that she knows we've moved on a stage. It will go all over the earth, every part of the earth. Comment by Stuart. Our modern name for the consciousness of the earth is Gaia, originally a Greek name which has been widely adopted by both environmentalists and by the wider New Age community. The session continues. James, we're all getting training. We're all getting information. So I see that my task is to continue to work with the energy lines. Put in the heart energy that we know about from Mary Magdalene. That's what she gave us. Information on that kind of energy. She gave me information to pass on. It helps us in our predicament. Joanna, what is your predicament? James, that we feel leaderless. Each of us has to find our purpose so that we can act on it. We go quietly through the countryside. It's beautiful, but very quiet. All we can hear is the hooves of the donkeys. We have left the little horses behind us, and we're riding on donkeys now. We've climbed up higher and higher, and there's a building with grayish-blue tiles. There's a group of about 6 of us, and we're going to meet this man. He has a shaven head and golden skin. He feels safe. He creates a presence of everything being in its right place. He wants to show us how to carry out our purposes. He's put a plan before us, to this group with me, nearly all young. And he shows us how to use water and put energy into the water with our minds or with crystals. The water sparkles almost as if it had diamonds in it. It sparkles. He shows us channels that have already been made and says this is what the ancient Kalu used to do. They used to put channels through a town and around a town, a kind of grid to link in with the Earth's natural energy lines. And it's almost like irrigation, trying to draw the energy through the energy lines. Put it through the water in grids, and then it goes back into the energy lines. Joanna, I believe the Essenes were doing this in Israel. James, that's how they managed to grow crops in the desert. This is how the people were kept in balance and healthy. This is how the food was grown, using the energy of the earth via energy lines. They put it into the water, so our task is to find and map the energy lines. Joanna, do you use your hands to find the energy lines? James, I just walk across them and get a tingle in my feet. So we're going to mark the important lines out with stones, big stones, and we're going to walk through Gaul. Joanna, and are there special places where the lines meet? James, all over the world, there are special places with water. Through the water, through the flow, the suffering of the earth can be cleared and released. That's part of my work, to set up these healing places. Joanna, Jeshua said to you, your time will come. Did it come? James, yes, when I was much older. I see myself then, and I've grown a long beard. I'm in a long, dark woolen robe. I feel that it's quite cold. I've moved to the northern part of Gaul. We're setting up a spring. This is a very special place, so we're setting up almost a temple. There are crystals to make it easier for Jeshua to be linked with us, a stepping up of our energy and a stepping down of his. Joanna, how would you sum up your task? James, to keep the links with the energy lines through water, to keep the inner springs alive, linking with the earth energy, to move all of that forward, to advance in spiritual understanding, to keep putting it back whenever it gets stamped out, to keep it going, to keep the links with Jeshua and Mary. For the people of Jeshua's generation, their job was to get the word out. It's my job to keep the heart center open through the earth's energies, keeping the energetic memory alive. The earth has a resonance linking to us, and we help the earth so she can help us. This part of James's account was fascinating as it shows his focus on working with earth energies, something that is not stressed very often in material of the Essenes, and is entirely absent from all the accounts of work undertaken by the early Christian followers of Jeshua. It helps to put his teachings into a bigger context as part of the relationship between human beings and the earth. Another significant aspect is the central importance of Mary Magdalene as the continuer of Jeshua's work and the provider of a link between Jeshua and all the Essenes and followers of Jeshua who had settled in Gaul. At that time, there were a number of Jewish groups scattered throughout Gaul, and that country certainly provided a welcome new home for those who were fleeing persecution in Israel. Some of the party who traveled with James continued northwards and reached Britain. For James himself, however, the journey finished in northern Gaul, where he settled down and married a woman from that area. This is James's description of her. James, she is beautiful, tiny, and very understanding. Her name in their tongue means starlight. We continue with James as he reaches the interlife and is reviewing his life as a whole. James, I lived until I was about 60. Joanna, did you ever go to Britain? James, yes, and that's where I was buried. I traveled across northern Gaul and then we took a boat. I presented the people in Britain with a pair of our horses, a fine stallion and a mare. And this was in exchange for educating a group of our own people. They were to start the work in Britain. I came back and forth and visited Britain. I found it very cold. Joseph of Arimathea had gone to Britain before me, but by the time of my first visit, he had already died. Joanna, when you got to Britain, did you hear about what Joseph had done there? James, he'd set up a school to exchange information and energies. He had some writings carved in stone. I can see many strange hieroglyphics that I don't recognize. The Druids didn't have a writing tradition, but we did, and we wished to get the information down in written form. Joseph had people carve in the stone important things. They are long, thin stones, a pale brown colored stone, with a flat face, and the inscriptions are put in there. Information on sacred rites and how to keep connected. When I visited Britain, it was always a special occasion when we'd some energy work to do. This gave us an opportunity to ask about the Druids, who were the teachers and leaders of the Celtic peoples. However, we got a very strange and unexpected answer. Joanna, I understand the Druids were quite an advanced people and they had large centers of learning. James, they're a funny people, really advanced in some ways, and yet they don't seem to wash very often. And we had come from a tradition where you'd bathe every day. They had vast amounts of water in Britain, but the Druids would have dirty fingernails. I saw the light around them, and they meant well. They just weren't bothered with washing too much. But in other ways, they were extremely advanced. They knew about herbs and how to use them to cure illnesses. They were very advanced in that way. They could even carry out operations, deal with toothache, and were adept at mending bones. Joanna, how did they mend bones? James, they splinted them with wood from a special tree. I think it was an ash. They would take the tree, slit it down, and place the new wood with sap in it against the area of the break, and would attach crystals to each end of the pointed pieces of ash and channel energy, and put burning herbs on the wood, and that would make it hot. The herbs were smelly, but this treatment seemed very effective in healing broken bones. They were also very adept at working with the earth and calling down the rain. They weren't hunter-gatherers, they grew grains and were able to modify grains and mill them and make a cake from them. They gathered herbs from special places, and they knew what herbs to use to get a kind of trance so that they could connect with the goddesses of the land. And so I learned much from them, and they learned from us. Joanna, what was the most important event which you went to while you were in Britain? James, I think the last event when I was there, not long before I died. We went to an area known as Prentis, and we set up some gray blue stones, like slate, and these could hold certain energies of the earth when joined in with special energy lines and quartz crystals. And since we were gathered there and all knew our purposes, we had to make sure we'd remember our purposes from lifetime to lifetime, because we knew that each time we were born, we might forget them. So we had to link in with the earth, so that when we moved over the energy lines, the grids, we would be triggered to remember again and again what we'd come for. And we used certain it's Kabbalah, so Kabbalistic symbols and words to ensure that each lifetime, each of us would connect. My connection is with the water and the sacred sites. Other people would link to the stones, others would link to stars and astronomy, and for others, there would be flashbacks of using their skills. So we all met together to make sure we'd be carrying out Jeshua's work until the time came when we would be released. Comment by Stuart. The Kabbalah with a K or Kabbalah with a Q is the mystical system of teaching based on the Zohar or Book of Splendors. Kabbalist teachings lie at the very heart of the Judaic tradition, and they focus on the central symbol of the tree of life. Now that James's story had been told, we could step back and look at it as a whole. It was a fascinating story, and it filled in a lot of gaps for us. The wonderful thing about this part of James's account is the way it illustrates how diverse the work of the followers of Jeshua could be. Spreading the teachings was only a tiny part of a much bigger spectrum of work, much of which concerned working with earth energies. For the Essenes, who had worked with earth energies for so long under the instructions of the Kalu, that would not come as a surprise. But anyone brought up in the mainstream Jewish rabbinic tradition might find all of this very strange indeed. It's also not at all the kind of work that the early church fathers would have known about or valued. and they would probably have dismissed it as being much too near pagan practices. The name, which James pronounced as Priscilly, is almost certainly a reference to the Preseli Mountains in southwestern Wales. This area contributed the smaller bluestones at Stonehenge and was well known throughout the ancient world as a source of stones of the highest quality. Okay, so we'll stop right there. Each chapter seems to be taking, so far, about 20 to 30 minutes. So I think within reason, we will be able to read one chapter per video, and that pleases me so much. Thank you all so very much for joining me. I love you all very much, and until I see you again, as always, take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and I will see you for chapter 7 very soon. Bye-bye.